Yo, how's it going? Yeah, it's been a while. This is your first time on the channel. Hi, welcome. So it's been quite a while since I've drawn, and I got some feedback on Instagram about people asking for tutorials. So in today's tutorial, I'll just go through how I draw Goku. I'm using a pen, and I start off by drawing a circle. You don't have to use a pen, but it's the only thing that really showed up on the recording. So for this stage, I suggest you use a pencil instead so you can erase these lines. I then draw a quick line down and across the circle to kind of find the center of it. And from there, I draw these other lines that indicate where the nose and the chin is going to be. This is kind of just like guesswork. I've come to find that, well, what helped me in my early stages of learning how to draw was I would just pretty much follow along. You don't have to pay attention to the things that I'm saying. It's just, I think it's easier if you just like go at your own pace and try to copy along, and later on you'll start to pick up your own way of doing things, and I think that's one of the really cool things about art. Yeah, so here I'm doing the neck, and I like to keep the lines very light, especially when I'm using pen, and I'll go over these later with like a darker, like a black pen pretty much. Yeah, cool. I think you can hear the birds chirping in the background. Yeah. Okay, anyways, so I break this down to steps. So the first step is pretty much just drawing out the framework for where everything's gonna go. When you're drawing like this, it's the best thing to do is like look for reference points. So for example, this nose here, the nose here, like the nose, it lines up with the bottom of the chin. And you can tell that I've kind of got the face slanting to more of one side. Yeah, so there are small errors like that you can like go back and fix at this stage. But another way you can learn is by just pausing this at different stages or skipping through the video and going from there, like trying to redraw what's on there. But otherwise it's a pretty straightforward process. Yeah, I suggest studying like anatomy. Might not be the case for like when you're trying to draw anime or manga, but like if you want to move on to drawing your own figures, especially with different angles, it's best to understand how the muscles work, especially with the way you move, and that'll translate into so much of your future art. So yeah, so this is shot at real-time speed. This is me just drawing in the eyes and the basic figures, like I guess the basic elements of the face. With Dragon Ball Z, they usually have this kind of setup I've come to find, where the eyes are these, well, shapes, and for the lips you draw like a simple line and then another line underneath it to show the bottom of the chin. A lot of the, I guess the depth is shown through shading, and we'll touch on that later, but right now we'll just draw this base outline. Yeah, and I'll come back when we, like, I'll pretty much just talk when, I'll pretty much just keep talking when I find points, or like if I find a tip or something that I could give, then yeah. Alright, and also seeing that this is, well, pretty much since I'm getting back into the whole YouTube thing, I extremely appreciate any feedback that you might have, and if there are any other things that you'd want to learn how to draw, then please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be able to make a video on that. And yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. So over here I draw that line just to kind of where the hair is going to go. I used to make the mistake in my early days of drawing the hair like right at the top of the circle, but it actually starts somewhere about there, and I've come to find that with my art, a lot of it is like guesswork, but the more confident you get, well, confidence is built on like repetition, so the more you do something, the more confident you get at it. So I highly suggest just the first few times you try drawing it is don't overthink what you're doing, just go very loosely, don't expect it to look exactly like the picture, and just have fun. So the first time you draw it, just make your lines quick. It might end up looking nothing like Goku, but at least you'd be comfortable and confident in drawing lines. When you can kind of build up speed, and yeah. Cool, so here I'm drawing the hair. The thing about Dragon Ball Z is that a lot of it is just a bunch of shapes. And I kind of chuckle there because that's how you can break every drawing down, and like you can view it geometrically and about shapes and proportion and relation to like other shapes within the image. So for example, let's take the hair that I'm doing. Each like clump of hair there is based on the first hair that I drew. So you just draw one and then you can see like, oh, the hair touches it at this point, so I should draw hair coming out from there. Yeah, I hope that made sense. Yeah. Now the ears are a bit odd, but yeah, I kind of just mimic what I saw there. With the left ear, I drew it a bit differently than it is in the drawing, so I just changed it up to what I felt like looked good. Cool. So now that a lot of the like key elements or like a strong base has been built, I'm just kind of going over and seeing if there are any parts I can touch up. Over there I should have fixed up that draw, it's kind of slanted, so that's not too accurate. Now I start drawing in the hair. I decided to bring the hair on his left a bit down, just so it kind of lines up with the one on the right, and don't stress so much about making the hair look exact. I think as long as you have like the major parts down, like, then you'll be fine. Yeah. And the thing with the Dragon Ball Z here is that you can always just add on to it, so you can add more spikes and have more lines coming down through the hair. But yeah, so just go easy with it. Just make sure that the first circle that you drew, you have hair coming out past that, so just think of that as the skull. Yeah. You can kind of faintly still see it, but yeah. So again, over here very loosely, I'm just going in easy with the pen. And you can see that it almost already looks like Goku. And even if you just change the hair, you could make it look like a completely different character. So that's one cool thing about Dragon Ball Z, is that a lot of them have very similar facial traits. Like if we gave it a widow's peak, it would look like Vegeta at the stitch. So if you can nail drawing the initial face, like drawing the eyes the way that they were, and the nose and the mouth, then you can pretty much nail any Dragon Ball Z character. Because the hair and stuff's easy, you can add as many spikes as you want and do whatever you want with it. Yeah. Cool, and here I'm going in and doing a bit of the clothing. So I make them fold over and we'll shade in the other part later, like very dark. In this video I shade with a pen. You can, well, follow along and use a pen, or you could use coloring pencil or just a regular pencil. Well, pretty much anything, but I'll explain later about how the tones work. Yeah. So cool. Now over here I'm drawing the lines that come up with the hair. So you can see with Dragon Ball Z here, they have lots of those lines that signify, I guess, clumps of hair. So I like to take it from the tip of the hair and then draw them out from there, so they kind of fan out, and then take some from the root and drag those back, just like that. Yep. And the most important, well, which I believe is the most important lines, are the hair strands that start at the forehead. Yeah. The rest are all just like layered, and yeah. So here I'm just loosely repeating that. There we go. Cool, and I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. So yeah. with this process, you can just pretty much feel free to add in your own lines. They don't have to be exact. Just be free with this. That's my biggest advice for this. I should probably also get some like ask me anything questions that are art related, and yeah, I could just answer them as we go along. I think that'd be pretty cool to do. So if there are any like questions or hints or like any tips or tricks you guys would like to learn, just let me know, and then like during these stages where I'm repeating something, we could discuss them. I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so over here I'm drawing the eyes. Where you put the iris is very important, because you could make the person look angry if it doesn't touch any of the sides, or surprised. So over here he's got more of a serious look, so the eyes are touching the top. Cool. There you go. Now I just sped up this part, but I'm going over with a black pen. My recommendation for this part is that make your lines very like confident. So there's like chicken scratchy lines. That's what I do with the blue pen, where I go over like a same line quite a bit, and then there's just drawing one straight line, and that's what I would recommend on this stage. Now if I took this drawing as it is now, I could use coloring pencil, or I could use a marker or watercolors to color it in, but here I'm going to show shading with a pen. So an important part of this shading is you see me draw these random shapes on Goku, right? And I'm pretty much just looking at how it's shaded on the image and then imitating the shapes that I see. So a good way to identify the shapes is to squint at the image, and then it kind of separates the values. So if you squint at Goku right now, all the highlights and the shadows will show. I really need to work on my terminology, but yeah. So you can either copy these shapes along, or you can have a look at the image yourself and kind of determine where the shapes are and what they look like. Something I added an extra was I like to put a bit of shadow in the eyes, just at the top of them, and that's just a personal preference, because I've come to find that that makes my drawings pop a bit. So yeah, and you don't have to get these exactly the same like size, but get them down, like just make sure that they're there, because they show a light source. So it looks like the light is coming from the left of Goku, because that's where the lightest spot is. If you look at his face, his left cheek is like the lightest tone, and then his right is the darkest. So you can kind of determine where the light source is coming from. After drawing these shapes, I'm pretty much just gonna cross hatch shade them by using the pen. So if we think of it in terms of levels, the first lines, or the first shapes I drew, will just have a single line going through them. So you see me draw that in here, and I'm being very easy with these lines. You just do them very lightly, and the trick to kind of having a straight line is just by making it fast. If you take your time in a line, I come to find that, well, for me at least, it ends up being a bit wobbly because I'm, taking it very slowly. But I think one quick slash is a lot better. So yeah, here I can see I'm just at some of the shape, and I just draw that in here and shade it in. Don't be afraid of ruining your drawing at this stage. Don't worry about it. Drawing these shapes on won't ruin the drawing. Yeah, in fact it kind of looks pretty cool in my opinion. But yeah, so yeah, I take let's say that one line is the middle, right? So let's say that's a mid-tone. If you look at Goku's face, you can see the lightest tone on his left cheek, and then in the middle of his face you can see a slightly darker color, and then on the right of his face you see the darkest color that's on his skin. So let's say that that's 3 tones. Might not be the right word for it, but let's just think of it that way. So I've separated the lightest tone by not shading it at all, and then I put in the mid-tone by using one line, and now all the places that are really dark, I'm going to go over and cross-hatch them the other way. So I'll do that here on the side of his face, and here I'm finding how to position my hand so that I'm not blocking the camera. But yeah, now you can build up that layer by creating different angles of the line. So here you see me start to go down instead, and the more lines that you put through it that cross over, the darker it gets. So the closer you put lines together, the darker the object seems. And you'll see me put the rest of the neck in here. Cool. And that's the gist of shading that. So just repeat this technique with the rest of it and you end up, yeah, with a pretty good looking shade. If you're using like, let's say coloring pencils or just a pencil, then just color those shapes in flat, like just like how you see on the image. You don't have to like smoothen the blending. Like what I mean by there is you see the darkest color and then the mid-tone. You don't have to like blur the line in between the two. By doing that, you do make it look a bit more realistic. But yeah, this harsh shading is pretty much the style that Dragon Ball Z and a lot of animes have. It's just a real quick way to show like depth, or yeah. So they add, like, pretty much make it look 3D instead of just like the flat Goku that we started off with. It kind of gives the brain an idea of like, okay, cool, that part is pushed away and this object is rounded, and yeah. Cool. So now if you squint at the Goku picture and the drawing, you kind of see that the shapes are starting to look the same. I go back and I darken up his right cheek because I think, well, it should be darker. But yeah. Cool. And now this is just a sped up process. Feel free to like pause and follow along, but things look better when you zoom away. Like, because like all those little lines, when you zoom out, they start to form like more of a smooth type color, if that makes sense. Yeah. So with the hair, I just repeat the lines, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So that kind of wraps up this Goku drawing. I hope that this tutorial has been useful. If you liked it, then please consider subscribing and letting me know what other tutorials you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day or night, and yeah, bye. See you in the next one.